To a clerk, this is just a piece of paper. To a family, it is a record of grief. But to a killer, it is the ultimate shield. This is a 19th century death certificate, signed by a respected physician, citing natural causes. The only problem? The doctor who signed it was the one who administered the poison. Is a signature a record of death, or is it a hidden confession? This is the story of Dr. Edward Pritchard, a man whose arrogance was so great, he believed his own signature could overwrite the truth. But could it? Stay with me to step behind the forbidden doors of the Black Museum and find out. In Glasgow, 1865, a city of Victorian majesty and deep class divisions, factories, smokestacks, grand houses for the rich, slums for the poor. And in the middle of it all, at 131 Sauchiehall Street, lived Dr. Edward William Pritchard. Edward Pritchard was born in 1825 in Southsea, Hampshire, into a naval family. He claimed to have studied at King's College Hospital in London and graduated in 1846. He served in the Royal Navy as an assistant surgeon, sailing around the world. By all accounts, he was charming, handsome, well-spoken, the kind of man people trusted. In Portsmouth, he met Mary Jane Taylor, the daughter of a prosperous retired silk merchant from Edinburgh. They married and eventually moved to Glasgow, where Pritchard set up his medical practice. They had 5 children. From the outside, they looked like the perfect Victorian family. But Edward Pritchard was not what he seemed. He was a liar, a show-off, a man who exaggerated everything about himself. He claimed to have attended medical lectures he never attended. He told people he had traveled to exotic places he had never seen. He hung fake diplomas on his office wall. And worst of all, he was a philanderer. He had affairs with multiple women, including his own servants. One of them, a 15-year-old maid, became pregnant. Shortly after, in 1863, there was a fire in the Pritchard house at 11 Berkeley Terrace. The maid, Elizabeth McGrain, died in the fire. She made no attempt to escape, suggesting she was already unconscious or dead. The fire was suspicious enough that the insurance company refused to pay out, but no criminal charges were ever filed. By 1864, Pritchard had moved his family to a new house at 131 Sauchiehall Street. He joined the Freemasons. He became a prominent member of the Glasgow Athenaeum. He was popular, respected, trusted, but behind closed doors, his marriage was falling apart. Mary Jane knew about the affairs. She knew her husband was a fraud, and she was planning to leave him. But there was a problem. Mary Jane's mother, Jane Taylor, was a wealthy woman. When she died, she would leave a large inheritance to her daughter. In today's money, nearly £250,000. Money that would soon be Pritchard's if Mary Jane died first. So Pritchard made a decision. In late 1864, Mary Jane Pritchard started feeling ill. Stomach pains, nausea, vomiting. She was weak, dizzy. Her husband, the doctor, treated her at home. He gave her medicine, he prepared her food. But Mary Jane did not get better. She got worse. In December, Mary Jane visited her family in Edinburgh for Christmas, and something strange happened. She recovered completely. Her symptoms disappeared. But when she returned to Glasgow, to her husband's care, the illness came back, worse than before. Other doctors were called in. Dr. Cowan diagnosed an irritated stomach. Professor Gardner said hysteria. Dr. Patterson monitored her condition. All of them saw a woman suffering, but none suspected poison. In February 1865, Mary Jane's mother, Jane Taylor, came to Glasgow to nurse her daughter. She was 70 years old, strong, healthy. She arrived on February 10th. Within days, Jane Taylor started showing the exact same symptoms: stomach pains, vomiting, weakness. She ate some of Mary Jane's food and suddenly she was dying too. Even servants who tasted the food became violently ill, though they survived. On February 25th, 1865, Jane Taylor died. Pritchard signed the death certificate. Paralysis and apoplexy, he wrote. 3 weeks later, on March 18th, 1865, Mary Jane Pritchard died. She was 38 years old. Pritchard asked Dr. Patterson to sign the death certificate. Patterson refused. He had not been monitoring her closely enough, so Pritchard signed it himself. Gastric fever, he wrote. At Mary Jane's funeral, Pritchard asked for the coffin to be opened so he could kiss his dead wife. He wept dramatically, crying, "Come back, my dear Mary Jane." Witnesses said he seemed to cry at will. They called him the human crocodile. But someone was watching. Someone suspected the truth. Shortly after the funeral, an anonymous letter arrived at the Procurator Fiscal Office. The letter implied the deaths had been suspicious. It was likely written by Dr. Patterson, who had refused to sign the certificate. On March 20th, 1865, police arrested Dr. Edward Pritchard. They searched his house. They seized medicine bottles, food samples, bed linens. Everything was sent for forensic analysis. The bodies of Mary Jane and Jane Taylor were exhumed from Grange Cemetery in Edinburgh. Post-mortem examinations were conducted by two forensic experts, Dr. Douglas McLagan and Dr. Henry Duncan Littlejohn. What they found was shocking. Large amounts of antimony were discovered in both bodies. Antimony is a metallic poison that causes severe burning stomach pains, nausea, vomiting, and eventually death. The symptoms matched exactly what both women had suffered. Police investigators discovered that Pritchard had purchased large quantities of antimony during his wife's illness. He had also purchased tincture of aconite, a deadly plant poison. Dr. Frederick Penny tested all the evidence from the house. He found traces of aconite in Jane Taylor's medicine bottle. Pritchard had spiked it. The poison was hidden in the very medicine meant to relieve her pain. Antimony was a common Victorian poison. In small doses, it induced vomiting. In large doses, it was deadly. Symptoms included burning stomach pain, violent vomiting, weak pulse, cold extremities, and death. Aconite, also called wolfsbane, was even more dangerous. It came from a plant with beautiful purple flowers, but every part was lethal. Just a few milligrams could kill. Symptoms included numbness, burning pain, irregular heartbeat, paralysis, and cardiac arrest. Pritchard was a trained physician. He knew exactly what he was doing. He understood dosages, he understood symptoms, and he used that knowledge to slowly poison two women over months, making it look like natural illness. But he made one critical mistake. He signed the death certificates, and those signatures, proven false by post-mortem examination, became the evidence that convicted him. The trial began on July 3, 1865, at the High Court in Edinburgh. It lasted 5 days. The courtroom was packed. Newspapers covered every detail. The prosecution laid out the evidence. Dr. McLagan testified about the antimony found in the bodies. Dr. Penny testified about the aconite in the medicine bottle. Servants testified that they became sick when they tasted Mary Jane's food. Dr. Patterson testified about his suspicions. And then there were the death certificates. Pritchard had signed both. He had sworn before the Sheriff of Lanarkshire that the deaths were natural, but post-mortem examinations proved he was lying. Pritchard's defense claimed he thought his wife had died from gastric fever. He had no idea she was being poisoned. Someone else must have done it. But the Solicitor General destroyed that defense. The symptoms were nothing like gastric fever, and Pritchard was the only person with means, motive, and opportunity. On July 7, 1865, after just a few hours of deliberation, the jury found Dr. Edward Pritchard guilty on both counts. He was sentenced to death. July 28, 1865, 8 a.m. Glasgow Green. Dr. Edward Pritchard was led to the gallows. He was 39 years old. The executioner was William Calcraft, Britain's most famous hangman. Over 100,000 people gathered to watch. The largest crowd ever assembled for an execution in Glasgow. People stood on rooftops. They climbed trees. They packed every inch of space. Pritchard walked to the scaffold calmly. He wore a black suit. His hands were tied. Right before the trapdoor opened, he confessed. He admitted his guilt. He said he alone was responsible. He asked for forgiveness. Then the hood was placed over his head. The noose was tightened. The trapdoor opened, and Dr. Edward Pritchard was gone. He was the last person to be publicly executed in Glasgow. After his death, public executions were banned in Scotland. His case marked the end of an era. The Pritchard case changed medical practice forever. It showed that doctors could be the most dangerous criminals. The case highlighted the importance of independent oversight. Pritchard was able to sign his victims' death certificates because no one questioned a doctor's authority. After his execution, calls for reform grew. Death certificates could no longer be signed by treating physicians without verification, and the death certificates themselves became artifacts. They sit in archives today as reminders that a signature is not just a formality, it is a legal document, a sacred trust. And when that trust is broken, it becomes a confession. Dr. Edward Pritchard turned the signature of a doctor into a weapon, but in the end, it was his own signature that condemned him. The death certificates he signed so confidently became the smoking gun. So here is the question. Today, doctors are still trusted to sign death certificates. Oversight is stricter, but is it enough? Could a modern Pritchard slip through the cracks? Or has science and the law evolved enough to catch them? Tell us your theory in the comments. Should doctors have more independent oversight when signing death certificates? Or is the current system enough? For more cases where trusted professionals became killers, keep watching The Black Museum, because while people lie, the evidence always speaks the truth.